And we are live here in Philadelphia. This is Conversations with Brother Asar. I am freshly back from the Khu Khem Kemet Tour 2015. And today, or tonight, or I guess depending on where you're at, we have a few of the members who went along with us to the land of Kemet, now known as the Arab Republic of Egypt, for this pilgrimage / tour. And from the outset, I could say it was an honor, to go again and to go with this group of individuals. We had a real good time, very enlightening experience. And today we're just going to, share our experiences with the public, and hopefully convince y'all to go with us again next year, summer of 2016. Hold on while I close the door. So y'all won't hear Netflix in the background and all that good stuff. So yeah, we have two, with a little technical difficulties, so they'll be coming, in and out throughout this conversation, and but we have, some other guests with us who are, the founder of this tour, the lead of this tour, and his queen, and we have another individual who is actually going to come, but for some reasons, he wasn't able to make it, but he's a part of the family, and so he's here to share his experiences of not going, with us. So help y'all to to get to motivate y'all to come, and get your ducks in a row and everything in order early, so we can all experience this truth in the land of Kemet. So, I want to welcome, my guest here. I want to introduce y'all to Brother Unc Benu. Unc, introduce yourself and your queen.
All right. Okay. Uncle Seneb, life, prosperity, and health. I'm Unc Benu. First and foremost, your brother. I want to thank, my good brother Asar Imhotep for having us on his platform tonight, and also for joining us, doing the honor of coming on as a tour leader, featured lecturer for the Khu Khem Kemet Tour 2015. As the brother mentioned, I am the founder, organizer, and tour leader of the tour. And I'm very happy to be here and to share my experience with the family. It's definitely something we can talk about for years to come. We're going to try to nutshell it, as they say, tonight. But definitely looking forward to the discussion and the sharing the richness of our experience. Let the queen introduce herself.
Hetzopu family, it's Warit Reki, it's the new, and hope everyone is having a great evening. And just to piggyback off what my babe said, the tour, it was awesome. It was a great event, a great thing that happened, and I had a good time. And I just want to say welcome and enjoy the overview of the tour, and I hope to see you next year.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you both for joining us, and the whole Khu Khem fam who may be listening live or watching live via YouTube. And so I guess next up is Brother Tahir. You there?
Two.
Peace, man. Introduce yourself.
Right, this is Tahir RBG, part of the Nisu family, Repat Nation, is the situation, and yep, me and my queen, my wife, T, my aunt, we're both here. Yeah, we were the ones that was in the corner crying, wishing that we went. So we have many experiences of that corner to share with you all. And looking at pictures and and trying to fight our hate back. Trying to fight our hate back. So yes, and we have that to share.
Iterations and holleration.
Yeah, man, we would have loved to have had you on, and brother Kenyatta was really like, man, I think you would have really especially enjoyed our initial conversation with Baba Shango Dare.
Indeed.
Brother Kenyatta kept invoking you there, and so.
Yeah, I told Yacht at RBG weekend, I'm gonna see you there. I just saw it good. And got back home, and the emergency brake got pulled on me and all that. So it's just it's how it is. But all to the good. My brother Aunt Benu was there, so I feel like I was good. And I'll say that it sounds good. We're gonna leave it there.
All right. We also have Brother Sam Neal. He has visual, but he doesn't have a mic at the moment. He may be getting on another device. He says he's working on it right now. So he may come in a little later. And we have with us another individual who was along with us on the tour, Brother Kenyatta. But he's in the middle of, he drives trucks, so he's on the road right now. So he's trying to find a location where he can park, and he'll be, joining us a little later, in our conversation. So when Kenyatta and Sam, are able to, vocalize and into the conversation, we'll properly introduce them. We'll let them introduce themselves. And we'll keep this round robin moving. And so that we got the tour leader here. Tell us a little bit of how this tour came about, what inspired you to do it, and what was your intent, on having this tour.
All right, I say excellent. Thanks once again, brother.
All right.
The Khu Khem Kemet Tour. Let's first start with the with the name of the tour. Khu Khem meaning black light. It's the it's the name of the tour. It's named after the radio show that I host on Sundays. And every show we I start off by making it known that the black light, the show, it's all about, resurrecting, restoring, reclaiming, basking in, bathing in, walking in, and shining the illustrious black light by illustrious black African ancestors, And, this particular tour was, really, to hone in on that black light. We're using Kemet as a reference point, but looking to connect the dots that many people aren't aware exist. Connect the links, make the links and the connections between ancient Kemet and sub-Saharan Africa, Central Africa, West Africa, South Africa. Demonstrating that there's a unified culture. There's a cultural continuity and kinship, that runs throughout all of Africa, from ancient times until today. Demonstrating those connections in the culture, in the traditions, etc., and so on. So last year, I had the privilege of going with my good brother Rob Mary. Shout out to Rob Mary, who was also a featured tour leader, but was unable to make it this time around. But last year when we went, we had such a good time, and we saw an opportunity, to actually do these tours, to bring our people there so that they can share in the experience that we had. It was such a deep spiritual experience. To go there with the information that we have been blessed to acquire over the years. Myself through practice and study, and studying African culture and African traditions, studying how these traditions and these cultures express themselves amongst us in diaspora, and once again practicing and teaching the traditions myself. The brother Rameri being from Swaziland, being Zulu, being raised in the culture, seeing the parallels, or not even, how I say parallels isn't even the correct word. Seeing the remnants, right, of the ancient culture in the culture of his people, of the Zulu. In the funerary rites, in the festivals, in the language, just all of these things, and it came that, okay, this is something that we need to do. This is something that our people need, because this, in Kemet we have a common point where we can all connect in the language Madunater. We have a point where all African people, languages can connect. Okay, so this is something where we want to bring the family back with us, bring people every year and make a sacred pilgrimage. So this is to serve the purpose of inspiration, not only in demonstrating what it is that we have done, but what it is that we're capable of. Giving an example of the first, how our ancestors, founded the first Pan-African state, the first United States of Africa, and how we can use Kemet as a model to do the same thing today. Utilizing the culture, utilizing the worldview, utilizing the language to do the same thing today. It's definitely something that's much bigger than just a tour. Just going there to look at some monuments, just going there to be awed. It's going to be awed, right? But that's not what it's about. It's about going there, and we're eradicating any type of doubt, any notion that Africans, whether whether you are in the south, southern part of Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, West Africa, no, the diaspora, doesn't matter where you find yourself as an African person. We're going to remove all doubt from your mind that that these are your people, that this is your culture, and that the culture still lives today. The language still lives today. We're going to remove all doubt. So that was the purpose for the tour. And it's my hope that our people will be inspired, that that the information and experience will resonate with us, and we utilize it to go forward, in the future, and define our reality. Okay. Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, let me see. Who was this that joined us in terms of Nun Kaude? Am I even pronouncing that? Kaud?
That's the brother Sam, but his mic is muted.
Yeah, I muted it because I was hearing something in the background, but he's going to have to unmute it to join the conversation. So if you're listening to us, brother Sam, you're going to have to unmute your mic. Well, while you figure that out, let's hear from the Queen. In your, how was your overall, view of this was your first time in Kemet, correct?
Yes.
So
Correct.
tell us what it was like for your first time.
Um.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Brother Sam,
Yes, sir.
you're getting feedback from your mic. So while
You there?
she's talking, yes, while she's talking, mute. So we don't get that feedback. And when she's done, we're gonna bring you back in. All right.
All right. Well, first time going to Kemet, very exciting and fascinating. I was super excited going over, wanting to see and experience a different culture and different way of life, and just to get a glimpse of what I've been studying and researching thus far. And I want to say, from a woman perspective, first it was hot, and secondly, I don't know, it's just different from what I'm used to and what I've my environment here. Of course, our environment here in America. But the temples and going to see the different monuments and learning the history and background and just from different point of views and different studies and way of life, it was very, very informational and educational, and I appreciate that a lot, a great deal, and that's basically it. Like it was a great experience, and there's definitely a lot of information and a lot of things to see that you can't get in one trip, in one go over the water. You have to go over many times just to experience and get the full scope of everything. And I mean, I wouldn't say it's my ideal vacation spot, but it's good for the research and for the spiritual knowledge and for the overall, like, just the experience.
Most definitely, I concur. Yeah, and for people that don't, remember, Egypt or Kemet sits in the middle of a desert, so it's going to be very, very hot when you get there. So don't be trying to come to Egypt with no mink coats or anything like that. You will burn up and blow up on site in Kemet. But Brother Sam, are you there? You have to unmute your mic. Let me see if I can unmute it. Nope, won't let me unmute it. So Sam, if you're there, you're going to have to unmute your mic. And if you have your device on as well in the background or whatnot, you're going to have to turn it down a bit because again, we're getting feedback when you turn your mic on.
Yeah, all right.
All right, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, what's up, brothers?
Hey, what's happening, man? What's happening?
Chilling. But yeah, just a few words. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
I use it, so it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, man, as far as the trip goes, all I can say is, wow. Wow and wow. Like you guys, I haven't went through all my pictures yet. I got over 1,000 pictures. And just looking at the artifacts, looking at all the statues, the history, the glyphs, the pyramids, going inside the pyramids, dealing with the heat. I mean, it's definitely a trip, but bring your energy with it. Bring your enthusiasm. uh, it still kind of has me a little bit tongue tied going over it and everything. But from day one when we got there and going inside the pyramid, I still ain't gonna forget that. I've been telling all my family members, you know, and friends about going inside that pyramid, how it was built. Uh, you know, my legs being sore afterward.
Yeah, you'll definitely get a workout.
Going into Luxor with those chicos, man. Going in Luxor and also down to Aswan, but you know, fam, the best part about it is the Nubian village. Seeing our people down there, that was real fly stuff. That was my favorite part of the whole trip right there, Nubian village. So, being amongst them and how they live. So definitely a must. You just have to go. You got to experience it, you know. And it's Egypt, but it's also our people, our history, and you have to see it for yourself. You can go on Google all day long and look at the pictures and stuff, but it's different when you're there.
Exactly, and people got to realize how your mic real quick. It's giving me feedback. Okay. Yeah, so like people got to really understand how big these monuments are. You know, you're going into places where several stories, and in every square inch there is hieroglyphic writing and paintings, you know, giving you their thoughts on life, you know, rituals, processes, procedures, you know, concerns. All of that is being displayed for us, you know, on these temples and monuments and caves, even down to the graves, going underground into the graves. Every square inch is hit up literally with text. And you know, I made sure that I took you know, many photos, especially of the text. And the reason is because a lot of text is disappearing. You have individuals who are there who are chipping away at some of the monuments. And so, you know, it's part pilgrimage, it's part tour, but then also it's part documentation because you're not sure what is going to be there. And so, you know, I encourage everyone to you know, save your ducats and come along with us, because you may not, you know, be promised, you know, certain monuments and certain things being there, you know, in the future. And so it's good to experience it, you know, early. And as Brother Sam said, it's an experience. It's just something that you have to walk by, you know, the statue of Memnon and see how colossal this mug is to really get a scope of, you know, the coordination, the strength, the techniques of the ancient Remech or Romi or ancient Egyptian people. And so, you know, it's you know, we all have, you know, hundreds of photos. So I'm pretty sure for those of us or for those of you who are, you know, friends with us on Facebook, you've been kind of seeing, you know, some of these images, and I'm pretty sure you'll see more as time goes on. But it's definitely something that you really want to experience and document for yourself. I'm gonna move on now to Brother Tahir. Speaking of photos and seeing, you know, everyone there, you know, what was your feelings watching, you know, the people you know and love, you know, having that experience, knowing that you was right there on the threshold, you know, of going.
Well, yeah, like I say, it was, you know, I mean, it was definitely good to see the photos. I can't wait to see the more of them. What was real great is that I won't say great. I'll say what was, yeah, I guess what was great is knowing that what we're studying and the different temples of the different deities, knowing that we're already engaging those forces, and then seeing now not only are we engaging the forces, but now we can go to the temple where the engaging of the forces been happening, and we could do that in the same place. That went from the first time, the first tour that Aunt Benu and Rameri took, when I saw those pictures and said, like, wow, they had at the head Haru temple, you know, and those different things. Now, when we go there and we start doing those rituals in those temples, what would happen then? Like, that's what was going on in my mind. Like, in these going to Heru Behudet joint, and then engaging Heru Behudet in the Heru Behudet, you know, in that, what would that be like? Those were the questions and the thoughts and what I was looking to experience when I got there. And I know that y'all had a ball. I know y'all, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear, how did y'all feel engaging in those spots? Really? I mean, I've seen the pictures, but I'm listening. I'm on the listening end tonight, because, you know, like, yeah, I'm real eager to hear, you know, because a lot of people, you know, just to say, a lot of people say, oh, well, there's so many Kemet tours, but what makes Khu Khem Kemet Tour different is that our tour leader he knows how to engage these things. Whereas instead of just looking at them and saying, okay, I've seen this, now I see it in person. How do you engage what you're seeing? You know what I mean? And that's what I think is the difference, and that's what I'm waiting to hear. How did y'all feel engaging them? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, just looking at it, of course I wanted to be there. You know, I mean, yeah, I had to practice, get my men ab up, you know, so the children don't get no extra beatings, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it was excellent. I was so, you know, I was very happy and very proud that, you know, that we taking off like that, you know, and yeah, I definitely want to hear you guys' experiences going in those different temples. I don't know, did y'all go to the Valley of the Kings?
Of course, of course.
Okay. And then other spots that people ain't even going to, y'all dipped up in there. Like, yeah, I need to hear that.
Yeah, we got some stories, you know.
I know y'all do.
And it's funny, you know. Again, you know, you mentioned that there are other tours, and you know what distinguish. You know, me personally, you know, get there how you need to get there. If it's not with us, you know, with someone else, go to Kemet, experience it. But, you know, this particular tour, you have people who are actually engaged in African spiritual traditions who are also leading, you know, say, in this tour. And so one of the first things that I had the brothers to do when we first got into Cairo, when we first landed, was to meet a Babalawo by the name of Shango Dare out of the United States, who happens to live in Egypt. He's been living in Egypt for 7 years. And so, you know, getting that perspective, you know, on the Egyptian, you know, culture and monuments. He also teaches basically Egyptology in the Cairo University. And so to hear the stories, you know, of this African-American man who's a priest in several different Ifa traditions in terms of Orisha. And matter of fact, when we got there and landed, he was, you know, getting ready and gearing up to go to Nigeria to do some more initiations into another priesthood, you know, there. And so, you know, to have that perspective in terms of the Ifa tradition in relationship to the ancient Egyptian, you know, is something that, you know, a lot of people, you know, are not able to get. And so I got some footage, you know, of that conversation, in which, you know, I may post up, you know, later, but some clips will definitely be in the DVD. And you know, it was, you know, he's the one who initiated me, or one of the Babalawos who initiated me, and you know, wanted to, you know, bridge that gap between what we find in West and Central Africa and what we see on the monuments and in the papyri, you know, in ancient Kemet. And so, you know, throughout the tour, you know, any opportunity that we had that we could link, you know, these concepts and traditions together, we took that opportunity to do so. And so, I want to get Brother Unk's take, you know, on what Tahir, you know, just brought up, and your thoughts on that. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, yeah. How you say? Definitely the opportunity. You know what he means as far as, you know, coming from the position of a practitioner, and you know whether you're dealing with, you know, the Yoruba tradition, the Akan tradition, the Kemetic, you know, tradition. You engage in the Neteru, the Orisha, the Abosom or the Loa. Just, you know, once those dots are connected, you know, and you're able to go there and, you know, see the way that our ancestors engaged these same forces for countless years, you know, and to go there and to have that experience, you know, as a practitioner, you know, the experience is deeper, it's on another level, even to the point where, you know, of course, you know, it's the Arab Republic of Egypt now. All right, so you know it's heavily Islamicized, so to speak, and you know there's certain things that, you know, you can't do. You'll end up in the joint. You know, if you know, they see you in there, you know, looking like you wanna, slice up a chicken or whatever the case may be. So, you know, just but having still that deep sense of communion. You know, when we went last year, it was yeah, it was definitely on point. We went earlier, and many of the times when we went, you know, we went earlier in, you know, in the year during the summer, and we also went early during the day to each temple, to each you know, location. And many, you know, most of the time we be the only one there, you know, for a long time, and we were able to really get it in. So in certain pictures from last year, you know, you see me going all in, you know, prostrating, or I say shinta, right, kissing the ground before Heru Behudet and his bark, you know. You see me, you know, performing dua at the, you know, in the sanctuary, you know, the Hindu pasha, all of these things, you know, giving it up to the Neteru. You know, and you look at those pics, and you know, you like, oh snap, you might think you can really get it, you know, go all out in there. I think we'll be able to do it for real, because we're going to do it, you know, early this upcoming, you know, for next year. We're going to go earlier during the year. Okay, this year we went in September. Next year we're going to go in early July. So, you know, we're going to make sure that, you know, by doing that, you know, let's see, as of, you know, let's say this year we went during like the official tour season. When you go in July, tour season hasn't actually started yet. So when we get to many of these places, we'll be able to take in the, you know, the fullness of experience without the distractions, without having to navigate or weave through all of these different groups that are trying to see the monuments, but we can really, you know, really get it in. But yeah, definitely every single part of the tour, you know, of the experience from the beginning to the end, you know, it's a deep connection. We, you know, go to the Valley of the Kings, and you know, once we get to the mouth of the tomb, you know, pour libations at the entrance of the tomb to that specific ancestor, that Nisu, before we enter into that tomb. You know, no one else is going there, you know, with that, you know, that particular disposition. still seeing this as sacred ground, the sacred ground burial site of our ancestors, pouring libations at the mouth of the tomb, going in there and really connecting with the things that we see, connecting with the things that's being done, going into the Valley of the Kings and entering into the tomb, and every single step that we take deeper into the tomb, we're taking the journey with that ancestor through the spirit realm, through the duat, and understanding those things, understanding what the duat is, what this journey, is about, what's actually taking place, and being able to connect with it, on a personal level. It's no experience like it. If you are, blessed to, have certain information to be able to discern certain experiences, you'll be able to experience those forces, experience those ancestors on a deeper level. If you're real sensitive, some of those places you might not be able to stay in too long. I remember when we went to the Nubian Museum, which was real dope, by the way. The Nubian Museum was very beautiful. We were able to see certain things there that we do today that it's like, whoa, right? Like, the first time I'd ever seen someone, from the ancient times wearing the ankh as a necklace. I'd never seen that before. We get to the Nubian Museum and there's a statue of a brother, rocking the ankh as a necklace, just like we do today. I'm like, whoa, there you go. You know what I mean? It's it's things like that. You're able to to see the connections, to see the parallels, to see things that have always been done, to see the way that our ancestors did it in the way that we do today. There was a part, before I lose the point. There was a part of the Nubian Museum that we went in where they actually had the bodies of certain priests on display. Now, for me, myself, as a priest, as a practitioner, I'm sensitive to that. There's a lot of shekel right there, so I couldn't stay there too long. But still, just being in the presence of the remains of those ancestors, and paying homage, prostrating a knee and saluting those ancestors. It's something that, like I said, it's a spiritual experience. It's very educational, but for us, the experience is different when you come, and you're coming, understanding that these are your people. You're coming and you're understanding that, okay, these traditions, African traditions, African religion, so to speak. This stuff is real. Okay, it's not just a belief system or something that you just learn and regurgitate. No, your experience validates the authenticity of the tradition. So coming through these through these different places, you have an experience that other people don't have, and you feel connected to it, and your connection is authenticated, and that you're connected more so than other people, because when they come, you can see the disregard, you can see the disrespect, even for some of the quote unquote natives there, you can see the disregard and the disrespect, that they have for the location, for the temple, the things that they say about the ancestors, etc. So on. You can tell that it has nothing to do with it. Okay, so this is it's important that we take advantage, like you said, of the opportunity to go and to experience these things, to see these monuments, while they're still here. there's monuments that are literally falling apart. They're trying their best to preserve what's left, and then there's some things that, like you said, they're chiseling out. The brother Sam saw where they had buckets of cement, where they were grinding cement on the stones to erase certain. This is we got to get there to document, to bear witness to it, so that when we go forward, we have that information with us. One last thing, I want to say, the other important thing as far as going and as someone that's interested in the practice of African traditions, practice of Kemetic tradition, truthfully speaking, you cannot truly say that you practice Kemetic tradition without taking this trip. Going to Kemet, you don't necessarily have to go with Khu Khem, but you got to go to Kemet. You got to experience that. You have to see that, because the ancestors were so meticulous with their documentation. They literally documented and inscribed every square inch of the temple with every single part, every single step of the ritual procedure. Every single thing that you say at every single point, every single offering, and the reason for making those offerings. Okay, this is it's invaluable information. You can't quantify it. You can't put a price tag on it. Okay?
At all.
Can I ask a question?
Hold on 1 second. Speaking of questions, for those of you who are watching live currently, there should be a, depending on which device you're looking at, it may be like a little yellow bubble with a quotation mark, on it in terms of your screen, or it may actually be a little thing that says Q&A on it. Either way it goes, hit that button if you want to ask us a question. We don't have the chat feature for some reason on my channel. The chat never works, so you won't be able to engage us via the chat. But if you want to ask us a question or make a comment, please hit that Q&A button there and type in your question, and we'll be able to I'll be able to see them and direct them in general or to a specific panelist member. And again, there should be a Q&A button on your screen. I'm also looking at this through my phone, and on my phone I actually see like a little golden or yellow bubble with a quotation mark, to be able to hit it and type the question. So throughout this conversation, at any time, if you have a question, hit us up and we'll answer it. So I'm sorry, I was about to cut off somebody. I was about to ask a question.
Yeah, I was about to ask a question. Benu, when you say that the natives weren't disrespectful towards the temples and they just had a disdain for it, first, were they the like the Nubians? Were they feeling like that? And why do you think that they had? Was it due to the Islamic thing that they weren't feeling it, or like what? Why were they feeling it? And who exactly was feeling like that?
Okay, yeah, definitely were not the Nubians. And how I say, the experience with the Nubians, the experience with the brothers and sisters in the Nubian village, the experience with the elder in the Nubian village. That's a whole nother part of the discussion. Like just going in just with that, that was just profound. It was rich, definitely an honor. But when I talk about the disregard, you can see the disconnect with those, and let's say it's very thick in in Cairo. Cairo is like a totally different nation. I said it last year, I said it again this year. It's good that we fly into Cairo. When you fly into Cairo, you're flying into the Arab Republic of Egypt. Okay? But once you touch down in Luxor, and then you spend some time in Luxor. You get on that cruise and you sail down the Nile, and the deeper south you go, the blacker the people get. It's like you arrive in the Arab Republic of Egypt, but as you go forwards, you find Kemet. So that's something that definitely needs to be understood. But yeah, when just see certain things that I don't know if they necessarily consider themselves Arab. That's one thing I need to make clear. Like even though it's the Arab Republic of Egypt, when they use the term Arab, they mainly mean the language. Many of the folks even in Cairo that look like what we consider to be Arab, they don't necessarily consider themselves Arab. They consider themselves Egyptian. I don't know if that's if that means anything, but some of the things that they say, when they tell the stories, the way in which they tell the stories, the way in which they speak on the history of certain ancestors, the way in which they, sometimes they're riddled with insults. Or this one was weak, or this one was just a screw up, or whatever the case may be. Or they'll try to get you to take a picture. For instance, Heru and Maquette, the quote unquote Sphinx. They want you to, they try to get you to take a picture as though you're uppercutting, Heru and Maquette. This is the face of Khofra, okay? And they want you to posture yourself like you're uppercutting this ancestor, this Nesubiti.
This is
okay?
these are the Arab tour guys that want you to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta remember, as he said, it's the Arab Republic, and it's a total disconnect. I will give an example, not only as what he was just mentioning, in terms of how they view the monuments and things of that nature, but even how they treat the land itself. When you actually read the ancient Kemetic text, you'll see that they have an environment. They are environment centered as part of their Ma'atian doctrine. And matter of fact, Maulana Karenga speaks about this heavily. He has a whole section of a chapter dedicated. He has a whole chapter dedicated to it, I should say, in terms of Ma'atian ethics, and in Ma'atian ethics, being in alignment with God, people, and nature.
Right.
And what I mean here in terms of nature is how they have like when you go into Cairo and you see just the amount of trash and urban sprawl that is around the city, you can tell that these are not the same people who who once built these pyramids and things of this nature in Kemet, and who have since built up these cities and things of that nature, because again they do not have an environmental consciousness, which was very central to what ancient Egypt was doing. They made sure that whatever it is they built had little impact negatively on the actual environment themselves. You have texts where pharaohs are planting trees and purifying water and doing all this other kind of stuff. Whereas you find in places like Cairo, we got to remember that Cairo, for example, has 22 million people living in it. In the Giza, in the city or the section of Giza itself, it has 18 million people. That's a ridiculous amount of people who are living, in one particular central area. And so, those are some things you have to, kind of wrap your mind around when you actually go there, to be able to see, for instance, trash burning in the street, camel, horse, a gang of sheep, then a gang of cars and smog and all of this. And then on the next block is the pyramids. Like how do you reconcile, that image in your head, so to speak, and that's kind of part of the experience. But outside of that, you like I said, you have to you have to understand that you're in a modern place that has these old ancient relics in it, and part of the decay, as Brother Unc Benu was mentioning, is partly due to the mere pollution. And so the reason why the monuments were able to be up so long is because they existed in a place of pure air. But now that all the smog and acidic features, in terms of industry and gases and things of that nature, it's having its toll on the monuments. And so this is another reason why I say get there. Whatever you have to do to get there. Take photos, take video, document what it is, because much of what you will see and understand and love may not exist, by the time your children grow up or something to that nature. And so before I move on, someone asked a question on Didan, number 19. How far south along the Nile did we go? We went as far as Aswan, or the Semitic name. Oh, Abu Simbel, yes, which is further than Aswan. And so we visited the we went to Abu Simbel to visit the Nefertari and what's the other temple?
Ramesses II.
Ramesses II temples or whatnot. And so this is into it's still Egypt in the modern borders, but it's technically Tasseti, so-called Nubia, in this particular in terms of the ancient borders. And so this is the area where you're going to see the people who look out, and that literally they look like us. Like we were constantly being mistaken for Nubian people, while we were out there. And and some didn't even believe that we were from the States. They wanted to argue that we were, from like Central Africa or something to that nature. They did not believe, like one dude was surprised that I spoke English, while we was out there. And so, that's part of that experience, and it shows the kinship. And you hear the Nubians speaking about the kinship. You actually hear some of the Arabs talking about kinship too. But that's a whole different, tourist ploy to try to get some of your backsheesh, and we'll get the backsheesh, what that means a little later. But I want to go to Sam real quick and get just one of your more memorable experiences, while you were there. What is a pinnacle point in terms of a personal experience that you had that stands out to you? And you'll have to unmute your mic.
Can you hear me, brother?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, memorable moments, like I said, going back to the trip down in the Nubian village. I really enjoyed that a lot, being amongst our brothers out there. I mean, that's not to take away from any part of the tour, because all of it was magnificent. But it was just a inner feeling. I guess I just got to put it like that. It was a connection that I had while being and staying at the Nubian village. It was like no other feeling I had on the whole entire trip. And, just the vibe, the people, and just staying there, it was something else. I mean, it was really special. I liked a lot of the gifts and things that they had, and I know that was mentioned prior to us going on the tour, that the farther south we go, the better the artifacts and the gifts and things like that you could buy. And that was definitely true, because I bought a and it was about a 10-inch solid granite Anubis head that I brought back. The thing's heavy. but it's nice. And I got that down there when we hit Aswan and the Nubian village area, right prior to us going over to the Temple of Sept on Philae Island. But hey, that was my main point. But overall, I mean, I'm going back over the tickets that we had from the temples, and I mean, I got about 12, 13 tickets, you know, from all the temples that we went to and visited. It's I mean, it's a no-brainer. You got to go on the tour. You got to see it, and it's best to go amongst your people because you know you're more relaxed. You're more in a centered group where you can just kind of put your hair down, you know, and say, hey, you know, this is our people. You can talk and have casual conversations. So, but overall, the Nubian village, that's number one for me. Number one. So if you go, make sure you take them back, Brother Aunt, take them back to where we stayed. That was on point, brother. I'm telling you. And, yeah, take them back there. And I guarantee you'll like it down there.
All right. I have two questions, and I'm gonna direct them to Brother Ankh. And I'm not sure if we want to, you know, if you have the numbers for this as of yet, if you want to discuss that. But remember, I have two questions. So this is from Amina Dise. I forgot how you pronounce that last part, so no, I'm butchering it. But the question being, you know, what is the cost of the trip? And so I'm assuming that this is not the past trip that we have, but you know, if this is for the future trip that is coming up on up in July. And the second one coming from Brother MJ, MC activist, straight from I think he's from St. Louis, but you know, living in the H. He said probably missed it, but what is the modern name of the location for the Nubian village that we were in? Because there's several Nubian villages out there, but I forgot the specific name. I know I have it on video somewhere, but the specific name of the one that we were in, I know for a fact this is one of the ones that Dr. Ben, you know, would frequent. And matter of fact, when I was having a discussion, and I have it on videotape, one of the brothers talking about Dr. Ben, and when he would bring, you know, tours through this particular village. It's two villages that Dr. Ben used to bring the people through, and so the one that we went to was one of them. But Brother Ankh, if you know, can address those two
right.
Moving forward.
Okay, so let's start with the sister's question.
Okay.
The cost of the tour. This past tour we had the price at right over 3,000. It was $3,230, and you know that also included an incentive program. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But basically, the price for all inclusive, that's international airfare, from New York, even from JFK, flying into Cairo and back. Also domestic airfare from Cairo to Luxor, a cruise from Luxor down into Aswan, and hitting all of the major monuments and temples and whatnot, all up in between there, and then also an excursion down into Abu Simbel. This, I say, the price we had on it was $3,230, which is for the most part, it's cheaper than any other tour that's going. And we had an incentive program, which was pretty much like a tour organizer / referee program, where for each person that you get to go, that you get to sign up, we'll give you 10% of the registration fee for to go towards your tour or to go in your pocket. right? So it was about $323 for each person that you get to go. You know, could chop that off of your costs for going. So that was the price. You know, the cost for this year's tour. For next year, right? You know, and you know we're going to actually go public with everything this week as far as how much the tour is going to be. We're opening up registration, and I definitely recommend that everyone begins to register, begin to save up, begin to pay on it ASAP, so that by the time July comes around next year, we're good to go. We're going July 6th through the 19th, 2016. And, by going earlier, this year we went in September. So next year we're going to go in July, which is before the actual start of the tour season in Egypt, so to speak. So by doing that, we'll be able to secure certain things for a cheaper price, which will allow us to make the tour cheaper as well. So we're trying to get it to where we can get it either right at $3,000 or under $3,000. And one of the ways that we're looking at doing it is and we'll have more of the details a little bit later on. But if you begin to pay on it now and you complete your registration by January 15th, somewhere up in there, you can go for $2,700. Okay, which is crazy, right? Just to let you know, right? That's nuts. Plus, we're still going to keep the incentive program intact, so that for each person that you get to sign up besides yourself, we're going to give you 10% of that fee to go towards your tour or to go into go in your pocket. So we want to make it as easy as possible for the family. We want as many of the African family to go as possible. This is a pilgrimage. It is your right to go, and it's not something where we're trying to get fat, off of going. Right? We want you to go because you're supposed to go. This is yours. So we're looking to make it even cheaper than it was already the cheapest. We're looking to make it even cheaper for the family to go next time around. So definitely, want you to stay tuned with the brother Asar. Also myself, I'm on Facebook. Just type in my name, Unc Benu, AANKHBENU. And soon you'll also be able to find all of the information as far as registration form and all those things at henensu.com. That's www.henensu.com. Okay, henensu.com. For the brother, his question was pertaining to the Nubian village.
The name. Yeah.
I want to say the name of the village is in the Arabic is Ger Sahel, right? Ger Sahel, something like that, which means west of or after the dam. Okay, so the name of the village is based upon its proximity to the Aswan Dam. Okay, so west of Sahel is the name of the village, and from what I understand, it's probably the most frequented. It's the most popular village to visit. We like the brother Sam mentioned, we did something different. That's something like we want the family to have a very rich and fulfilling experience, an authentic experience. So one of the things that we did that was much different than many was we actually spent the night in the Nubian village at one of the guest houses and hotels there. So what we're going to do, and I have to get all of the details to figure out exactly how many guest houses and hotels there are in that specific village. But we like to definitely we plan on doing the exact same thing again next year when we go. Have the family actually spend, you know, an evening or a few in the Nubian village amongst the brothers and sisters there, just soaking up the culture. You know, these guest houses, you know, and hotels, they're actually in the people's homes. Okay, like the guest house that we stayed in, this past trip was on top of, it was the top floor of the brothers and sisters' home. Okay, and when they fixed breakfast for us, which was included in our stay, this is, we're eating their home cooked meals. Okay, like this is this is like when you go on excursions or you go on trips where you're trying to live amongst the natives, to experience how they live, to see how they live, right? This is what we're seeking for with that particular stay in the Nubian and visit to the Nubian village. So we want to do the same thing again next year. We just have to make sure that we're able to accommodate everyone. So gotta make sure that we got the correct number of guest houses and everything on point. But yeah, that's something that we definitely intend to go into to do. I think just to clarify, I think the other village that Dr. Ben visited was in Abu Simbel. So like there's one that he visited in Aswan, which was the one that we went to, and the other one I think is in Abu Simbel.
It's actually two in Aswan. The other village that was just a little bit up the river, because we remember we passed the village to go to the specific village that we went to, and so
Right.
when I was talking to that one elder, but another elder who was specifically talking about Dr. Ben. This is what he informed us, and so matter of fact, the village was closer to where our initial boat was docked, across the way, and so that's where the bulk of the people stayed. So we may even have to, if we have the numbers, we may have to split it. If they don't have the numbers, saying to accommodate everybody. But that's neither here nor there. That's kind of premature at this point. But we have another question, and this is: what is the material condition of the Aset Temple in Fale? If I remember correctly, that's one of the more preserved temples. It still has some of its ruins, but that temple is still pretty much intact there. As a matter of fact, that's one of the temples where we was doing pouring libations, and they wouldn't let you do the libations in the front, but the guard took me to the back at one of the other sacred spaces, and allowed me to do ritual there. So I thank the guard for allowing that or allowing me to do that. So I shot him some back sheaves, for that, in terms of experience. So I thank you, Dedon19. If I'm even pronouncing that correctly, I'm probably butchering everyone's name. So just expect that throughout the night if you're asking questions. And so, Brother Tahir, are you there? Matter of fact, before I go to him, your queen gone for the evening? I wanted to get some of her experiences too. I wanted to hear her voice.
Yeah, we still here.
Yeah, so whenever she can come back, we'll get her take on one of her most memorable experiences. But Brother Tahir, you have any thoughts, questions?
No, it sounds great. Everything, I'm just checking in. Everything is excellent as it sounds. As I already knew it was great. I'm just checking in to hear the details. My queen is here though. My wife, she's here.
All right. Peace. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I was following very closely with the pictures and all because I was right at the last minute trying to go, and I just said, you know what, gotta make it happen for next time. But and I felt that urgency too about what you guys were talking about, the condition of the temples and how they're so-called refurbishing certain things and erasing certain things. So I definitely want to see it. Not that I wouldn't take you guys' word for it, but I want to see it with my own eyes.
Yes. Matter of fact, as an example of what we mean, for those of us who are engaged in the academic aspect of our historical legacy regarding ancient Kemet and its monuments, um, there there's always a controversy, of course, with European and other Egyptologists regarding the ethnicity um, and the skin color of the ancient Egyptians and how they depicted themselves. So that, at a certain point in Egyptians' history, there was an influx of people from all around the Mediterranean settling into Kemet and becoming citizens of Kemet and adopting its culture. And what the Egyptologists will try to do is focus on those individuals and then try to utilize any kind of depictions of them as if it is representative of the Remetu themselves, and the culture in general, especially from later time periods. And so there was a controversy over the depiction of this one scene in the tomb of Ramesses III in the Valley of the Kings. And so at some point, certain scholars was trying to argue that the scene didn't even exist. And so, when we were able to go to the Valley of the Kings and, we went into the Ramesses III tomb, I was able to sneak a picture, of this particular scene that certain Egyptologists in the past didn't say existed. And the reason why this scene was so important is because the ancient Egyptians, their name for themselves was Remech. In the Coptic is Romi or Lomi. It's just a word for the people, or persons or whatnot. And you'll find that all over Africa. They really didn't have a name for themselves. They just named themselves the people. And so the ancient Kemetu were no different. So they called themselves the Remech. And in this particular scene, you see the Remech. It's a hieroglyph for the Remech, and 4 depictions of brothers that look just like everyone on this panel, and very dark, little small peppercorn fro, those thick lips, noses, and this is the word for Egyptians is what's next to them, and so you have different scenes of different other groups from Libya and the Middle East and things of that nature who look totally different, and the Nubians themselves. And so it's not mistaking that these are quote unquote Nubians and that the ancient Egyptians were someone else. The ancient Egyptians depicted themselves as these very dark, people with woolly hair, just like you and I. Well, not necessarily. Well, I mean, yeah, you too. In terms of going to the barbershop, getting your fade, type haircuts, that we even have today. And so, that's why it's important to be able to go and document these things so that you have the record for yourself. You don't have to try to look in a book for certain, texts, certain inscriptions, certain monuments. And things of that nature. You have it. You can just go into your computer, your phone, or whatnot, and pull it out on somebody, who's talking sideways about something that they don't know about in terms of ancient Kemet. And so, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you can continue.
Oh no, I really didn't have much else. I just wanted to ask the question of everybody that went. Because I'm thinking for next time, and I know some of the people out in Charlotte that run the academy there, that we were looking at, you know, maybe bringing some Watoto with us next time. I don't know if they will be up to that trip, or what do you guys think? Like maybe 9 or above, or something like that. You think they will be able to handle the trip?
Oh, we can. Let me tell you this, Dr. Ben, when they first um, went to Kemet, they brought over 300, somewhere between 300 and 500 people with them. And according to Professor Smalls, you know, they had security following them because they thought it was an invasion. You know, after that, it was several thousand that Dr. Ben and them brought. They had to take, you know, several flights, you know, of people. So, you know, we're able to accommodate. It's just, you know, we need to know these numbers early so we can strategize, you know, how and where we're going to fit people, because we may have to, you know, Brother Unk is going to have to take a crew, then I'm going to have to take a crew, and, you know, we may be on different cruises or something like this. It really just depends on the numbers, but, you know, we can accommodate it. It's just we need to know the numbers, you know, early. So, you know, if we you know, just had 25, 50, you know, saying people go, that is still reasonable, and we can do that very easily.
Okay. I think her question was specifically in regards to children though.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part. I just thought it was in general people. Okay.
As far as
what age? That's the question. Like babies, I wouldn't recommend.
9 and above, maybe like 9 or 10.
Or how old do you think the children need to be in order to be able to
handle
the trip, to handle it,
yeah,
and that schedule, you know, where people won't have to be carrying them and.
Personally, me, I would like right at the mark of the teenagers, you know, years. I mean, people have gone earlier, you know, so it's really not a problem in that sense. But in order to really, you know, I got to think of the mindset of the kids that we're able to really soak in what is happening. And I think, like, you know, 12, 13, you know, 14 is a real good age, you know, that they should start. So I know like a group that teenagers that went last year, you know, and so, you know, that's fine. I don't know if 9 as far as the tour, because we got to remember that Egypt is hot as heck, and it's, you know, they're reaching 115 degrees easy. You know, I woke up one morning, it was 95 degrees, and then the sun hadn't even come out yet, you know. So you wanna keep that in mind, and then of course all the walking and stuff like that. You know, that's something you got to kind of play by ear. But, you know, people have brought, you know, people go to Egypt. You know, we saw babies, you know, running around in them mugs. So, but in terms of the nature, the content, and the quality of the experience, you know, personally, me, that's just me. You know, I think, you know, probably 12, 13 is a good age.
Okay. I think, you know, I definitely agree as far as you know, being able to handle the trip. You know, as the brother mentioned, it is hot, it's very dry, very easy to get dehydrated, wake up, you know, your eyes dry, your throat dry. I mean, everything's just dry, and you know, having to constantly take water and never actually getting enough water. You know, this is, you know, when folk think pilgrimage, they think the Hajj and, you know, everything, the physical, you know, taxation that it takes doing something like that. You know, this definitely is not a small feat. You know, I would not say that this particular pilgrimage is for the faint in heart, because there is a lot of walking. There are certain days where, you know, for instance, in Luxor we hit the west side, you know, of the Nile in one day, the temple of Hatshepsut, the Valley of the Kings, and in the Valley of the Kings, we go in at least 3 tombs, and some of them are extremely deep into the mountains. Then going to the gigantic statues of Amenhotep. Then on the east side, everything's done in one day. And in actuality, we left from Cairo at like 5 a.m., arrived in Luxor at 6 a.m., and began the tour immediately. So like there's a lot of very early mornings where we'll be traveling long distances, either to fly or to take a 3-hour excursion down into the Sudan or Abu Simbel. Like this is it's a very very active trip. Now for those that have children that are younger than 13, definitely I say play it by ear. You know your child. You know what your child can handle better. I say even better, know what you can handle. With your with your children there, and yeah, just be prepared. But yeah, I would say I definitely agree as far as just being able to process everything and to handle better some of the physical taxation. The teenage years probably that's the optimal. But if you want to bring your children that are younger, just be prepared, and we're going to make sure that you have the information that you need to be best prepared to do so. And there's also price for there's a package, the price that we have for for children, if you want to bring them.
Most definitely. All right. We have one more question from the question and answer app, and this looked like this one is specifically for me, for Asar. How has the trip influenced your studies? This is from. What'd you say? Oh, okay. Well, of course, this is what I do all day in my sleep. Is study Egypt, and it is, because this isn't the first time I went, and the first time I only had those old school one-time use cameras that you had to take a few photos and you had to dump the camera afterwards, and so that was back in the day. And so with this, of course, I bring my digital camera, so I got mad photos, for days. So it allows me, in terms of studies, because I also teach the Meta-Nature language, to be able to use some of my primary images, to provide to facilitate lessons in the monumental script. The hieroglyphic script from basically all the periods, but of course it's one of those things that there's certain aspects of my study that I wouldn't be able to get unless I was there, and so without revealing too much, for example, we met a certain individual in the Nubian village who was writing in a certain way that has inspired me to really get deep into my Nubian studies and trying to solve a particular conundrum in the Egyptological world. Matter of fact, I was in the library today in the Penn Museum, the University of Pennsylvania Museum Library, which also has its own Egyptology department, and section of the museum that, if any of y'all are in Philly, I would encourage y'all to go visit that museum. I was deep in there for a long period of time today, just gathering notes, you know, scanning some pictures and things of this nature, you know, regarding, you know, the Kushite kingdoms, its languages, and stuff to this nature. And so it has greatly enhanced, you know, my my thrust, you know, to take my scholarship further, as it regards the language, you know, of the region, and you know, of course, to see certain things. For example, and I need to answer this question for somebody who sent something in my inbox. There's a certain type of greeting that the Nubian people do that I was in the village trying to teach a certain individual the black people handshake, you know, that we do here in the United States. And so he showed me their version of what they do. But when they were when he was doing it, you know, I didn't pay too much attention to it. Not until, you know, a frat brother of mine, you know, sent me a series of pictures, asking me my opinion on the pictures that he sent me, you know, regarding certain hand gestures. And these hand gestures were the exact same as what I was witnessing in the Nubian village. And so it may not, you know, mean much to anybody, but it's these little subtle things that allow us to make connections in as it regards certain postures and things in the ancient Egyptian monuments. And so this is another aspect of some future studies, and I plan on writing in the future when I verify certain things, that, you know, that was directly a response to me going on this particular trip. So, you know, it is enhanced, you know, the quality of the work that I'll be doing, you know, regarding certain aspects of this particular trip, and of course ancient Egyptian history in general. And so we have another question from Spotty Audi. I think that's how you pronounce it, 305. Do we have to take any shots or immunizations prior to the trip? No, you do not. It's not like in West Africa or Central Africa where you have to get certain shots. So you're good to go, just as you are, to go to Kemet. And so in that there, it seems to be, for now, all the questions. We have about 15 minutes left, you know, in this particular show.
I have one question, if I could ask.
Go ahead.
For all those that went first, what's good, Sam Neal, my brother? I didn't salute you, my G. Just to shout my man out. Yeah, man, I wanted to know, did you all have any, you know, if you could share some of your, I guess, esoteric experiences, if you will. Like, if y'all have some different dreams out of the norm from being there, leading up to there or after, any of that. Like, you know, if y'all can share any of those things.
All right, I'm gonna go to Sam first, and then we're gonna go to Brother Ark. So Sam, if you're there and you want to answer that question, so we can hear from you again.
Well, like I said, everything for me, if I had to speak on that, it occurred at the Nubian village, because I slept like I was at my grandmother's house up there now. And I do recall a dream. I can't tell you what that dream was, but that night, like I said, it was very special for me, just being in there, and just the whole ambiance of the location of where we were at. It was just really special. I can't go back and recount what the dream was that I had, but I definitely had some deep sleep and definitely had a touching experience while I was there. And I can only tell everybody to go and experience it for yourself. A lot of things that occur, you just can't, for me, I just can't verbalize it. I'm hopefully going to be posting pictures soon, because the pictures y'all seen right now, we ain't even posted no pictures. We ain't even posted the real stuff that we have taken so far, because I've been on people's pages. It's just so much. But if I had to say anything, like I said, and it doesn't take away from any part of the trip, but for me personally, the Nubian village and the one that we visited and the stay that we had there, it was a special connection for me. Like I said, it felt like I was staying at grandma's house or something, all the way down to the food, bruh. And I mean, even the food tasted like my grandmother cooked that food. And I had to talk to the cook. I said, did you cook this? And he was like, yeah, I made it, you know. And I mean, but for me, it was like I was sitting at my grandmother's table eating that food. And trust me, I tore down on that food up in there. But that's all I have to say with that, though.
Matter of fact, the next question in the question and answer app, you know, was talk a little bit about the food you ate, you know, saying along the way. So if you can kind of incorporate that into your answer, brother Benu, you know, we could kill two birds with one stone. But go ahead.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, okay, let's start with the with Tahir's question on the the esoteric, or the the spiritual dimension, personal spiritual dimensions of the tour. For me, it was just the it's just so integrated. Like, it's everything has just the working with and the communion with the ancestors and the Neteru on a day-to-day basis. It's like it's always on. But specifically with this tour, man, with the just with the role that I played, as far as organizing and dealing with the business side of things. It was some serious work, right? So there's a whole nother side of it. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But dealing with the personalities and of some of the people there, and having to navigate those, and making certain decisions to make sure that everything continues on point. One of the things that happened before the tour, that happened during the tour, doing certain rituals and things of that nature, like receive words, kind of like the story of Taharqa, fighting, getting ready to fight with the Assyrians. You're Neter, Ptah told him, advance, and the way looks like it's closed. Look like you're advancing towards defeat or whatever case would be, but Neter told him to advance. He advanced to victory, and the way opened up, revealed itself, as he kept moving. I received a word like that before the trip. The way is open to you. Go forward, advance. Went forward with it, and we opened up a GoFundMe, right, just a few weeks before the tour. And I don't know if you guys have looked at it, but we're literally like under $200 from the goal that we set. And we did it like 2 weeks before we left. And it's just going forward with that, things still opening up. I remember, there were certain points where things will seem like, oh snap, like have we run into that closed door, that brick wall, and then boom, right, it opens up. And it was something that the brother Sam actually said to me at one point during the tour, man, he was like, you know, just keep you just keep moving. Like, he's like, a lot of folk, they talk about it, but they don't do nothing. It's just keep moving. And I kept moving however I needed to move. I had to make sure that we were able to keep moving. I really appreciated that word from the brother. But one of the biggest things, there's two major points for me. Working in the role of an organizer for the tour and dealing with the business side of things, really, connecting with within the suits, right? And calling on them to assist, right, with these things. It was very, very, powerful for me. Really 3 points. There was one where we visited the temple of Medinet Habu, temple of Ramesu III, where we were shown his throne room, okay, and actually stepping foot on the actual spot where his throne, where he sat on the throne. That was that was major. Like that's one of the only temples where you still find that spot. So that was serious. For me, it was very powerful experience. But then there was another one. The temple of Heru Behudet. That's my father right there, Heru Behudet. So that's always intense. But just dealing with that force to cut through all of the obstacles that I'd have encountered, that I personally encountered, during the tour, to make sure that we keep going. And then this was probably the biggest thing. There's a part in the Nubian Museum where there is a gigantic statue of Ramesu II, and also smaller statues of the Nubian kings, Sabaka and Taharka, and being able to be there. And I had my Netaru necklaces and my Sept collar there, and offering those necklaces and those collars, and charging them before those ancestors, before Taharka, before Shabaka, before this gigantic statue of Ramesu, so that I could call on that strength, keep going. Like that, for me, that was a very big part of the experience, a personal spiritual experience for me.
Most definitely. And speaking of, I got another question. This one actually coming from Facebook, because they can't launch the Q&A app for some reason. This person, Sister Octavia Coleman, she says, my area of expertise is health and wellness. As I am researching for my next book, are the glyphs that you notice speaking directly to health care, and wellness?
Okay.
And I, to me, that would be in alignment. Matter of fact, you hear a lot of people say Ankh Uja Seneb. That the very word Seneb itself, deals with wellness. And the whole phrase, I should say, Ankh Uja Seneb, life, prosperity, health, deals with health. So that's how they greet the king, dealing with health. And I can personally, from my research, tell you that there's many glyphs that is just codified treaties, saying about health and wellness. Matter of fact, there's certain symbols you heard Brother Ankh mentioned the Ankh symbol itself being worn as a necklace. The Ankh symbol itself is a glyph dealing with health and breathing. And I've done research work on that, and you can check that out in my text Aluja, Volume 1, that came out in 2013. You know, it's all over the place, and not only in terms of, you know, physical health, but of course, you know, well-being. I mentioned earlier in terms of Ma'ati and ethics, being in good spirits with, you know, God, your fellow man, and the rest of nature. You know, all of that is dealing with health. So of course, if your environment is bad, your physical health, you know, will end up in shambles, as we can see in our modern era. And so, you know, I may have to, at least for me, hook up with you, you know, later, and give you some more direct references, you know, as a regards health. Let me see this. Dedan, number 19. Oh, we didn't really, you know, answer
Food.
the food. Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, Brother Sam spoke on, you know, the Nubian food that we ate there. You know, Brother Ankh, his queen, and Brother Kenyatta, you know, were because it was 5 of us that went, were the only ones on the trip who did not eat meat. So, you know, for you vegetarians and vegans out there, it may be a struggle in certain areas. So you may want to keep that in mind, you know, saying when coming. It's not impossible, but you know, there you know, you may run into some issues. They're not walking around with Whole Foods, you know, in Cairo while you're there. But the food, you know, if you like me, who eat Mediterranean food, you're pretty much used to it. You know, I know Brother Ankh in them was, what was it? Falafels. What do you call them again?
Falafel.
Falafels. You know, they were falafel down the whole trip. Matter of fact, yeah, I went and bought some falafels and made some the other day. Got some pitas, you know, got the sauce and all that, you know, and made my own. I may make some tonight while I'm at it.
Word.
You know, so that was inspired by the trip. So I had to get my falafel on. But you know, they eat pretty much what you eat. You know, saying here they have their own special, you know, things. You know, and certain things are an acquired taste. They use, like in their sweets, they use a lot of cocoa. You'll find a lot of cocoa based sweets that I wouldn't recommend the yogurt. You know, a lot of their sweets don't have like sugar the way that we're used to sugar. You know, so you know, certain things is not going to have that super sweet taste that we're used to here in the United States. You know, a lot of rice, a lot of vegetable oriented. You know, they eat a lot of dry dates. You know, fruits. You know, if you eat some grapes and stuff like that, it's going to have the seeds in it, so it's not genetically modified, where there's no seeds in the grapes. So, you know, you'll be spitting out a lot of that. I'm trying to see what was different that, you know, that you can say exclusively is Egyptian. You know, I could think of right off the bat. I can't think of anything. You,
No, I say, yeah, nothing exclusively Egyptian. But I agree with the brother Sam that definitely the highlight of the food was in the Nubian village. That was the best food.
Yeah, because they, you know, with them being black folks, they heard of seasoning, and so you know, they down with seasoning in Nubia, and so when you're in these other places with these other folks, you may not have, you know, the season collection. that in the Nubian village they have and would expect. And so we have another question from Spodioti. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but that's just how I feel like pronouncing it at this moment. It could be Spotiotti 305. Will other members of the Amun-Ra squad be attending future tours to Kemet? Which is a good question. Now, I know that my brother Sanjeti is trying to attend for next summer, and he couldn't this time because he's going through some training. You know, he's in the military right now, so and so I'm trying to get my other brothers in the squad. I'm gonna get brother Unc, the other Unc, you know, saying to go. That'll be rich as well. And so if we can get brother Bujawu, you know, saying as well, he may go if we can convince him. So, you know, who knows? That's all I can say at this point, you know. But definitely, brother Sanjeti, he's like, I'm being there the next year. So we'll see if we can make that happen, you know, given his status and things, and you know, we'll make it do what it do. We may even have an Amun-Ra squad day, you know, if you know, I get some members, you know, saying to come with us in the next tour. But any other, you know, wrapping up here. I want to show, you know, I'm a maths person, so like when you go to Egypt, of course you're gonna have, you know, everybody and their mama trying to sell you some cheap Egyptian knockoff trinkets and things of that nature, and you're gonna be bombarded with it everywhere you go. You're gonna have to learn to say no 1,000 times. You know, and there's going to be people trying to sell you something that somebody just tried to sell you and you rejected them. They don't care. You know, they're really aggressive out there when trying to sell you stuff. And so what I usually recommend for everybody is save your ducats. You know, if you want to buy something, you know, buy something very small at the beginning of the tour. Wait till you get to the Nubian village, and then, you know, because you're as brother Kenyatta, who's not here, I was hoping he was able to join us. Was able to do. You know, he had to realize that, you know what, I should have waited till I got there because that's where all the goods at. You know what I'm saying, with the black folks. And so, you know, I got, you know, I'm a mask person, so, you know, I got a few masks. I don't know if you can see. I can't even see my screen right now. So I'll just put this, you know, saying up. I got, you know, one of these. I got a smaller version. I plan on getting some bigger ones. And so when you get into the Nubian village, you'll start seeing masks and artwork that looks stereotypically, quote unquote, you know, African, as well as the, you know, the normal Egyptian, you know, saying stuff that way. You know, here's another, you know, masks, all made by the various people in the villages. You know, they're very good craft work, things of that nature. Here's another mask. I didn't get this in Egypt. This is actually from Guatemala, so this is a Mayan mask. And so, you know, you'll see common themes and common features. You know, for instance, you know, this eagle or whatnot, this could easily be Heru at the top of the head, but of course the snake, you know what I'm saying, wrapped around it at the forehead. You know, what you see in terms of the mask, you see that, of course, in Yoruba land a lot, and especially, of course, in ancient Egypt. So, you know, I collect these wooden, you know, masks and things of that nature, and, you know, do my little pseudo archaeological, anthropological comparisons, you know, with certain things in terms of themes or whatnot. And you know, it's good. I got other things, you know, I got some herbs, you know, they got, you know, all kind of herbs and teas and all kinds of stuff in the villages that you can get. You know, it's when you get their support, you know, the Nubian villages. And I remember, matter of fact, I was interviewing somebody, and you know, that's one of the things that they loved about Dr. Ben, you know, and the people that Dr. Ben brought, because with Aswan in places like Abu Simbel and things of that nature, being in basically Nubia, you know, not that many people come all the way down, you know, that way, and especially going to the villages. And so one of the things that one of the elders was saying is that, you know, you guys, meaning African Americans, you help feed, you know, and sustain the Nubian villages, you know, when we come. And so this is one of the reasons why I say again to also save, you know, the good majority of your ducats if you're looking for things to buy. You know, doing that black economics in a very real way in Africa. You know, sharing those funds, and again, you get good quality, you know, saying working materials from the people there. And so, you know, we can go on about experiences. You know, I advise everyone to, you know, kind of share your, I guess Facebook or Instagram, whatever you use, so people can hit you up with more detailed questions. And, you know, we'll go from there. So I'm going to go with last words. Start off with Brother Unk, and then we're going to go to Sam, and Brother Tahir, and his queen, if she's still there. Brother Unk, is your queen still around? I mean, you know, I didn't want to make it seem like we ran her off, and we didn't.
Oh
get
no, I said she checked out, but she's good to go though.
Okay. You know, I want to make sure we get that feminine experience. You know, a bunch of dudes. We was, you know, with her being the only female, once again, to these warrior spirits, that should be an experience in of itself. You know, in ancient Kemet. But you know, so yeah, so brother Anbinu.
Okay, you know, thanks again, you know, once again, brother, for you know having us on the platform this evening, and you know for coming on, you know, to the Khu Khem Kemet Tour, you know, blessing us with your presence and your knowledge, right? Greatly appreciated. You know, and I want to thank everyone, you know, that's tuning in, that's interested in the tour. You know, those that wanted to go this year and those that intend to go next year. You know, definitely. Once again, I say that we're making it very easy. You know, I want to make it very easy for the family to go. You know, it's something that is the experience of a lifetime. It's literally like an overload. You're never going to run out of things. You know, so when things to talk about, things to reflect upon, things to to just carry with you for the rest of your life. It impacts you. You know, if I never opened my mouth, or if the brother Saul never opened his mouth the whole time that we were there, you know, you're still impacted just solely on being there and seeing it. You know, it's evident. So, you know, even more so to actually go and to have good information. You know, to be with folk that actually read the language, that actually practice African traditions, and can explain to you what's going on, the cosmologies, the ritual motifs, etc. So on. You know, this is it's a very good opportunity. You know, price wise and also information wise. You know, it really adds on to the experience. So definitely, I say, stay tuned, stay, keep posted. You know, we're going to go public once again with the prices and open registration this week. Okay, so really recommend that you begin to save up. If you can begin to pay on it now, as soon as we open registration, go it on and get in so we can, so you can secure your spot, and everything will be locked in. You know, you can contact me if you need more information. You know, you can contact me at anukosar10@gmail.com. That's ANUKAUSAR10 and also Heninsu@gmail.com. HENENSU@gmail.com. And I'm also on Facebook, Unc Benu, AANKHBENU. Okay, Unc Benu, right? You can find me on Facebook. Shoot me a friend request or shoot a message to my inbox if you have any questions about anything pertaining to the tour and the registration and whatnot. With that said, definitely family. Oh, real quick, I don't want to forget this. Special thanks to everyone that contributed to the GoFundMe that we had for the tour. And I want you to know that you greatly appreciate it. You helped us do this. You helped us make history. You helped us get this thing done. And you really have no idea. You have no idea how much you helped and how much you impacted. So I want to thank everyone that gave. I want to thank everyone that intended to give. That wanted to give. Once you appreciate it, and for those that gave certain amounts, be on the lookout. We are working on the DVD right now. We're compiling all of the footage. The images and the video footage. We got some real nice stuff, to produce the DVD. So as soon as that's done, those of you that are due the DVD will receive the DVD, and then there's those that are also due some books, right? And got to get with the brother Asar, and see how we're going to make that happen. And pardon me, there's a canine on the loose in here, but
Sam's pit bull.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what's the good word as far as the GoFundMe DVD is on the way, and also be on the lookout for books, that also go out because of the contributions that were made, and there's books that's being soon anyway. From the brother Saw as well as myself. So just want to be on the lookout. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stay tuned.
Same black channel. Same black time. Anyway. All right, Brother Sam. You there?
Hey, my audio is acting funny, but hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah.
Just my final words on the trip is, people should really consider going. Save up your money now in advance. I did hear a little bit of discussion earlier about kids and things like that, but truly for me, I think that, this is for some more mature people to go. Because there is a lot of heat, there is a lot of walking and things like that, new foods and things. So, to not have a lot of difficulty with that and enjoy the trip, I think it's more conducive to adults going. But aside from that, save your money, fam. Go look at the pictures that we posted on Facebook. There's going to be a whole lot more, I'm sure. I'm posting a little bit to my page tonight, but like I said, there's thousands of pictures and many temples to visit, and you should go if you have the ability to go. Save up your money, spend some money in the Nubian village, pass some of those dollars back to your people, and enjoy the trip. That's all I can say.
Sure. All right, Tahir.
Yes, me and T Mott, we still here, and I just like to first say congratulations to the Khu Khem Kemet Tour 2015. People who went, tour leaders, congratulations to you all. You're very inspirational. I already know it's a banger, and I will definitely be there on this next trip. You all made history. Well, made it happen, made history, if that's what we be saying. and it's I know that everybody's inspired just as I am, listening to the stories, and yeah, you all make the sacrifice, and your stories, they're in our hearts. We feel I feel the urge, like, oh man, I no matter what, I gotta make sure that I'm there. And yep, saving my dollars right here. And I don't know if you want to say anything.
Just yeah, just giving thanks for you guys having a good trip. And being able, I'm very interested to see what's going to come out of it. Is when you guys start digging into your pictures and reconciling that with your work. I'm very interested in seeing it. I'm very interested in seeing that Baba Shango Dar tape as well. Yeah, I'm interested in just seeing what you guys bring forth from the whole tour, and I definitely will be there next year. Definitely will be there next year. Um, that's pretty much it.
Just I want to say one thing. I know Aunt Benu. I don't know if he didn't mean to say it or not, but I'm a fan of putting stuff out there. Look out for that Remember an Osir book. My brother wrote a banging book on all of this and much more. Remembering Osir, it's about to drop any second now, and yeah, he definitely goes in. So I just want to say that for all of those who are saying, well, let me get a little bit of it before I get there. He got a big bit of it that he can give to you, and yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Do I? I say, and real quick, so I want to thank, once again, thank you, and I want to thank the brothers, Kenyetta Bethia, and also Brother Sam. I want to thank you guys, man. It was definitely an honor to meet all of you in person, to connect with you, and to have the brotherhood. My queen was there. Thank you guys for definitely just the beautiful spirit that you brought to the tour. It was seriously just like being there with the fam. It was exactly the way it was supposed to. It was like you were there with your fam. So thank you for everything.
Most definitely. And I guess in my final closing words, again, I want to extend, thanks and congratulations for everyone who was able to make it, and for Brother Unc Benu for the vision of this particular tour, and for bringing me along. Again, thank you. It was a great experience, and I was glad I was able to, facilitate and be a part of someone else's first experience in Africa and in Egypt in particular. As he said, it's like, you were there with family, even to the point where we had family debates about everything, there. So we didn't even get on the debates we were having, Sarnetta style, in Egypt, so that may be the focal point of another discussion, in the future. But, I had a real good time. I encourage everyone again, we'll be announcing, I'll have a page on my website dedicated to the Khu Kemet Tour. I'll have pictures from this past experience, of course, with the details and my suggestions for the upcoming trip. And so that I should have that by the end of next week. But the official, announcement will be done this week. And what else can I say? Yeah, save up Get your bid in early. You can do it. It is very possible. Just discipline yourself, and you know, uh, you'll be able to have those photos uploaded on Facebook in Egypt, making all your friends jealous because they weren't there with you, and that's what we want. And so that'd be a motivating factor for them to come, maybe the following year. But I'd like to thank all of the audience members who, sat here during this duration as we discussed, our experiences there. And as they said, we spent 10 days there. There's no way that we can go through everything. So just, hit us up on, social media, and, we'll be more than happy to go further, and discuss some things with you. I'll be discussing some more of this on Brother Unk's, the Armin Raw Squad's channel on not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday, next week. Matter of fact, this Saturday, for those who are in Washington, D.C., I'll be doing a lecture at the Davis Center, located at 6218 3rd Street. I don't know what this NW stands for, but Street NW, Washington, D.C., 20011 zip code. The lecture that I'll be doing is a lecture workshop, actually, and it's called Black Love is Black Power, how an African-centered approach to love can improve relationships and build our economy. And so, hit me up if you want more information. I can send you the link with all the details. But this coming Saturday from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m., and that's just a rough, I think we're going to be going over that. But I'll be there, and that'll be my discussion topic. So I'll be in D.C. Again, this tour is very impactful. And matter of fact, I'm going to be adding, I guess this can be an extension to the question that Sister Ramina has asked earlier in terms of how does it impact my work. I have a book coming out actually October the 26th called Nesubiti, King in Ancient Egyptian. And so I discuss using the tools of linguistics, what the Nesubiti actually means, where it comes from, and then more so, going beyond the linguistics and beyond the anthropology to make some suggestions on what we can learn in terms of effective leadership from understanding, African concepts of leadership and kingship. And so that book comes out. You can pre-order it now on my website, asarimhotep.com. That's probably one of the first things you'll see on the home page. And so, more information is there. And so I'll definitely be talking about, the pharaohs and things. And I'll probably stick some photos that I took from, the tour in the book. So, I'll have those copyright images, in the text. But yeah, I had a good time. I appreciate this panel. Brother Kenyatta, who also went on the tour, he was on the panel for some reason. I guess he couldn't make another connection. Again, he's out at work. He's traveling with the big rigs. And so, maybe I can have him on at a later time, just by himself. And we'll have a segment dedicated to his, experience in Kemet. And I know that, he's a lively cat, so he'll definitely have some stories to tell. So with that said, I appreciate everyone for joining us. I don't know when the next show that I'll do. Y'all know I'm in school, so I just do these periodic now. So, thank you. If you have any questions, hit us up, leave a comment, a message, share with your friends. Come with us next year, and may the ancestors be with you. I say Hotep, Unk, Ujas, Neb, and mad love for everyone and everybody, especially my people. But anyway, see y'all later. Y'all have a good night, a good day wherever you're at around the world, and be easy. All right, Hotep.